I think it's wild that there's straight up footage of him killing a man, and he went into the police station and he walked free. Like, that is wild to me. I could not
There's
imagine going and killing someone on the street with people filming me, and I walk out of the police station that same day.
Well, that's another issue in New York is that a lot of people can do stuff like this and they walk away free. You want to know how you kill someone in New York and get away with it? You run them over with the car.
So, in other events, my friend DJ Joey Fresh is gonna let us know what's going down in NYC. Joe?
The topic being on the most recent death of a young man in the subway, uh, got killed by one of the strap hangers, somebody who he was riding the subway with. So like that's the like focus of the topic, but and I'll digress on. I wanted to talk also about how the system is failing us here in New York, from the top down, and it's causing these type of events to happen. But I also want to, ask you guys,
So just
you know,
just real quick, an event happened in New York City on the subway train. A man got choked to death. Legit. That's what happened.
By passengers on the train,
By
not
the-
by police or anything like that.
Yep, by a passenger on the train.
yeah, his name was Jordan Neely of Manhattan. The guy who got
Murdered.
choked to death.
Yep.
That's
Uh,
the topic.
and the guy who killed him, we don't know his name yet, but we know that he is a Marine. And we do know some of the things leading up to what happened. Um, being a New Yorker and stuff like that, and this is one of the reasons I try to stay away from the trains, is that it's very unpredictable when you get a mentally ill person in the cart with you and they do decide to start acting out or having an episode, and then you're kind of stuck in the middle of it.
That's fair. I mean, we really need to get our veterans the assistance they need so they're not going on trains and killing people. I don't know what caused that man to have that mental health crisis.
I mean, so like you think go ahead, elaborate on that.
Oh no, I'm just being flippant. No, like obviously, like there was a mental health crisis going on with the homeless person. I just I was reading like the New York Post article about this and a bunch of like the stuff on Reddit about it, and it's very weird to me that people are trying to like talk themselves into it being a justified thing that he that he killed this guy on the train. I don't know. It's odd to me that we're celebrating like this vigilantism, not even vigilantism, because like, the guy was being disruptive, but it's not like, I don't know. It's odd to me that there's people that I've seen on the internet saying that this was a justified thing to choke someone out and kill them on a train.
If somebody like threw garbage at you and spitting on you, what would you do on a train?
I would not choke that person to death and kill them. I can tell you that much.
But you'd beat them up. Would you defend yourself?
I would leave the train.
What most people do.
I don't try to out crazy someone that's having a mental health crisis.
Yeah.
No one wins in that situation.
But when you're trained to kill, when you're a Marine, when you do,
I think
when
that's
you
a weak.
do, I mean, the Army will train you to kill. If you snap and you understand when somebody's being, and like I understand like there's a death here, but as a New Yorker, if somebody threw garbage on my mom, I'm knocking that guy out, and if he dies, I'm sorry that he died, but I'm not sorry that I defended the person in that situation. So I, as a New Yorker, I'm not letting nobody spit on me. I'm not letting nobody. If it gets to that, then it's gonna be a problem. I'm not gonna walk away if it's actually happening to me. I'm
I'd like to know
probably
the
gonna fight that
context.
person.
I'd like to know the context of like, what does it mean to throw trash at somebody? Like, did he throw like a McChicken wrapper at somebody, or did he bring a garbage bag and was like and dumping it on? Because there's levels to this, right? Like the details on what happened is very sparse. They said this guy threw trash at people, and then an altercation broke out, and then the guy got choked to death. And there's a video of it, basically one guy restraining the guy while another guy is choking him to death. And that video is like a minute long or something like that.
So in
if
that
I'm-
case,
And the
if
guy
you
goes,
think,
he goes limp, unconscious, and they keep choking the guy out,
if you
which
think
is like,
if you think more than one person is trying to eliminate a threat, do you think that there is an actual threat, or do you think that everybody is overreacting?
Now-
If like, especially if we all are aware of the mass stabbings, and we're in a state of like mass suicide, mass shootings. We had the guy that shot in the train just last year. He went and
So-
shot up the whole train.
So
my thing is I think about it like this. Like we've had discussions about gun self-defense before and things like that, right? If not necessarily Tony, but let's say that a registered gun owner like Tony was walking down the street and someone threw garbage at him and he pulled out his gun and shot that person on the street. Would there be any discussion about whether that was justified killing or not? No, there would not be. You would be like, yeah, you can't shoot someone and kill them for throwing garbage at you. Doesn't matter. Unless the garbage you actually feel like is a threat to your life, you can't shoot someone for throwing garbage on you. The only difference is this man actually choked this person to death. So it's not that like, oh, the only option was to kill him thing. He could try, maybe that's the reason he hasn't been charged. Maybe he's trying to say that he was trying to restrain the guy, blah, 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 whatever. It seems weak to me because the man, you can see him go limp in the video. There's multiple people helping him restrain this person and hold him down.
He didn't have to go that hard for sure.
But yeah.
I think his military training kicked in, and it's you either kill the enemy or you don't. I think that's like there's no.
I don't know. I don't buy that, because I'm just
Same.
like, as a somebody that's trained in the military, you would think, wouldn't they have more means to neutralize the threat
For
instead
sure.
of just killing them? Like, shouldn't they have better capabilities to stop somebody? And we say threat. There's no indication that this person was an actual threat, like anything more than your typical homeless person on the
think-
New York City subway.
So the thing, previous off-air conversation about this topic, Doey said that it was all verbal attacks, that the man was just only verbal, no touch,
No,
no physical
read-
touch.
And he threw trash.
I read the thing to you guys, the article.
I'm just going off of what.
But
what
you're
was said.
saying
Sorry,
the
what did
different-
Tony say
yeah.
wrong? It's verbal, and he threw trash, right?
Yeah,
That's the only
yeah,
difference?
for sure,
Okay,
for sure, for
perfect.
sure, yeah.
The man threw trash at
Yeah.
him. I could have sworn you
Yeah.
just said that if a man throws trash at my mother, I would knock him out. That's where I
Yeah,
heard the
for
trash
sure,
part.
for sure.
No. The homeless guy who got choked to death, according to an article, was throwing trash at passengers.
And being threatening. It actually said that he was saying that he was tired. I've actually heard this speech before from other homeless people, but they're just tired of not getting money. They're tired of people just looking in them by and not giving them money when they ask for it. And like
Okay.
they go into they have a speech. It's like a panhandling thing.
Yeah, no, I get that. That's fine. So what I'm concerned, or not concerned, what I'm more like curious about is, you don't agree with the man killing the guy, right?
For sure. I don't
Okay.
think I think death I don't think death is necessary in any means. But let's say you punch somebody and then they fall down and hit their head and die. I think that
Yeah, that's-
there's things that led up to that, and I think if you want to I think you have to look at the whole situation. Did he overreact by choking him out to death? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he should have seen that the conversation, the guy started tapping on him. And when you're tapping, that's a pretty much universal signal that I'm not gonna do anything anymore. So the guy got a lot of indicators. And I think another angle that we have to look at it is like the city is failing. It's failing the mentally ill, it's failing the citizens, the MTA, the mayor, the governor, they're all failing the city. The police, they're all failing the city.
All right, what I'm
And
trying to get at,
it's falling no, but let me talk. It's falling onto the citizens. Now the citizens are going through some where they don't know how to govern. There's a state of lawlessness when you go into the subways. And yeah, like the best thing to do at any of these situations is to go to the next car. But when you can't go to the next car and it's confronted with you, and there's nobody, there's no assistance, there's no cops. It's like a state of where these people feel empowered to threaten people, to make people feel intimidated. It's not just him. It's a problem in the subway system for a long time. Is panhandling aggressively. And I've seen it, and I've seen people get intimidated, and it's just only a matter of time before something like this happens.
it just seems like
Um,
you're on the side of the chokehold now. The way you're
I
talking,
I
it
think
sounds.
when you create a state that allows people to just do whatever the fuck they want and there's no consequence, I think this is the repercussions of that.
So
I think with not to talk for Doe, as I'm not listening, I don't hear this as he's on the side of the chokehold. He's saying the guy shouldn't have choked the guy to death, but the fact that this occurred, it's hard to pin the blame on the individual because the system is broken. Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely.
I think that's wrong.
I disagree, but
That's wrong.
and Tony, where are you trying to take this conversation?
I'm just trying to figure out what, because it sounds like he's just making excuses for this guy, like taking the things in his hand. I don't know. I lost track because he was just kept going. But it just sounds like right now that it's like, oh, the people have to take it in their hand. This is what's happening now because the system is messed up. The system is failing.
Right. So like, yeah,
I disagree with you. That man and the other two should be held accountable for that man's death. 100%. I don't care what, if you have training, even worse on you, because you have training, you know when you need to stop. Now,
I think it's wild that there's straight up footage of him killing a man, and he went into the police station and he walked free. Like, that is wild to me. I could not imagine going and killing someone on the street with people filming me, and I walk out of the police station that same day.
Well, that's another issue in New York, is that a lot of people can do stuff like this and they walk away free. You want to know how you kill someone in New York and get away with it? You run them over with the car. Look at the 13, 14 cyclists that have been run over, and then the 20 or 30 from last year. No, nobody goes to jail. Nobody, you're creating a state. And also, people are reading this stuff and they're seeing, okay, what is a life worth? What is a life worth? If a life is worth nothing to the judiciary system, if the life is worth nothing to homelessness, because homelessness is a big topic in New York, but nobody actually ever does anything. And then when something bad like this happens, it comes back up, and then there's like small little efforts made, but nothing really gets done as a New Yorker.
You know what's wild to me about New Yorkers? New York is a very liberal city. And I love that as someone that leans pretty left myself, unless it comes to homeless people. And then a lot of New Yorkers that I meet have these very like hardline, almost conservative-esque views on homeless people. It's a very interesting thing to me. And I think that it's a product of being like in this city where you're just, and you're in the concrete jungle. Like, there's not like suburbs unlike when you're in like New York proper, right? Like, that's not really a thing that exists. So you're in the city, you're in the mix with that. I feel like there's just something about being in close proximity like that all the time that just like kind of gives these super liberal New Yorkers just kind of like these hard wing, kind of like right wing approaches to homeless people.
Just to go back,
being aggressively panhandled every single day from 7 p.m. from the moment you get on the train and then when you come back home, still being aggressively panhandled, I think it just loses its air. I think as a New Yorker, you're like, okay, if you could stand on this train and panhandle every single day, and I'm seeing you from sun up to sundown, you can go get a job somewhere. You're walking back and forth, you're able body, you know the whole shtick. This is a problem in New York. Like,
Well,
and
it
there's
well,
levels to it.
well, and that's what I mean by like kind of like the conservative line of thought is that they need to pull themselves up by their bootstraps. I make it in this city, they should be able to also.
They're
But
making a living by panhandling.
I don't.
That's their job.
I think they're scraping by panhandling, but I mean, like as we've talked about before, like the actual solutions to like homelessness are it's mental health. It's like actual assistance. You can't criminalize people into stopping being homeless. You can't arrest someone into stopping being homeless unless you're just going to put them up in the jail full time and then boom, homelessness solved. That man is no longer homeless. Now he's a property of the state.
Now, just to go back again, because I'm keep losing. It's just you're saying you made a comment saying that the 14 cyclists died by getting hit by a car in New York
More
City,
just this year, we're on like the fourth or fifth.
and you're comparing that to the same as the
There's
man
an
dying
issue.
on the. There's an issue.
There's an issue. Yes, there's a correlation, and there's an issue in the city where life is meaningless, and you can run people over and not see a day in jail for doing so, and you could be in the wrong.
I want to say
So
that.
like this guy getting away and them letting them go, it's in the same light. It's like, what is a life worth? And I think in the city we're having an issue where we don't view homeless people in any light. You don't see them in a good light. You can't put them in a bad light. You can't put them anywhere really, but we have to deal with them every single day. The modern civilian. So like what you're gonna get into problems when you let civilians dictate, when there's no systems, nobody's helping, you can't call a number, no assistance.
You could
You're
probably say
looking
the same
around
thing about
and all
cyclists, though.
you're looking around and all you have is your fellow person on the train with
Hold on,
you.
Dewey, because Tony's trying to ask a line of question and you keep like ranting like off the. What are you trying to get at, Tony? You saying you could say the same thing about cyclists?
Yeah, I mean, you could say that people, because he's saying that there's a system is failing the cyclists. I'm like saying it's two different things. Like the subway homeless thing and then the cyclist is two different things. You can't really compare the two.
If you
Nah,
take
so,
away,
so you're remove how these people died,
Okay.
right? Think of it as a person killed another person and there's no repercussions for that killing, right? Doe's saying there's a chilling effect where New Yorkers, the value of a life, they don't see it. They feel that, hey, people could just get away with killing people because the city doesn't care. They're not prosecuting people for these sort of like, oh, you killed a cyclist or a homeless person got beat to death. It's like, all right, some of these things that the city doesn't care so much about. And the fact that they're not prosecuting those things strongly encourages people to do these terrible things.
Okay.
It's not equating killing a cyclist to killing a
I
homeless
think
Yeah,
the
'cause it's
MTA
very-
has a lot to blame. The police. There should be someone at every station for assistance.
You don't have
did
enough
this shit-
cops in New York City to do that.
There should be some sort of form. It's not just on the NYPD. It's on the MTA. They're $1 billion corporation. It's on the government. It's on everyone. They're failing us, the civilians who have to use the system that they created. They're creating us a sort of lawlessness right now, and it's called the broken window effect. The police aren't doing anything so that everybody will notice the broken window and then ask them for help. We need you to help us fix this broken window. We need you, police. So the police are doing this weird virtue signaling thing where they're not trying to really do their job, and it started with the riots and stuff like that, and then they're getting their shit taken away. It's like a lot of politics in play.
It's a tactic by the police union is basically what it comes down to. There's a lot of talk about defunding cops, so a lot of the police unions have said fuck them. Let's bring back our policing. Let's stop stopping crimes and let's see how they like it. Um, which is messed up. But to Doi's other point too about like the state of lawlessness and life not being valued. I mean, bring that in too with what I think is kind of like the typical like New Yorker approach to homeless people. A lot of the people that I've heard in my life use like dehumanizing language and refer to people as rats and cockroaches, things like that, when they're talking about homeless people, have been New Yorkers. New Yorkers have a very interesting relationship with homeless people. It's because they are just so deep in the city. It's so intertwined that, yeah, I mean, you get to a state where people feel like life is worthless, and the lives that they've already kind of been looking at is kind of worthless because that's been one of the, the prevalent opinions in New York regarding the homeless people. You're going to see more incidents like this. People are going to start attacking homeless people more often.
The
So,
citizens.
like, I'm not gonna sit here and say like a homeless person's life is worthless, but I acknowledge that homeless people are in a very difficult situation, and I hope they get the help they need. I don't want to deal with homeless people.
Oh, my same. 100%
I don't want
same.
nobody asking me for money. I don't want to deal with any stinky ass people or people with literal shit in their ass, walking in their pants, all that, like the terrible experiences that I a lot of horrible experience I've had are just being around homeless people. They're not the most pleasant group of people to be around, and I acknowledge that there's a lot of mental health issues and a lot of systemic issues that they're not getting the help that they need and things like that. As an individual, I don't ever want to deal with homeless people. That's just my view. But
I don't disagree with that. I mean, I've never enjoyed being panhandled too, right? I try to help out when I can. Like here in Texas, it gets hot as hell during the summer. I keep a case of water in the back of my car. I give out water bottles to homeless people, like whenever they're asking for water.
So
I'm not solving the homeless problem. I'm not capable of that. In and of myself.
It's terrible because there is a dehumanizing aspect of it. When you have to live in the city and deal with it every day, you do become like desensitized to it. You care less because it's like, what can you do if I can barely make it ends meet? I can't give to this person. I feel bad. It's the worst thing, and I think a lot of New Yorkers don't even realize it, is when you see a tourist on the train and something like this happens and the tourist is going crazy, like, oh my God, what's happening? They're trying to attend to these people, and like the mentally ill people don't know how to deal with it. They're like, hold on, I've never had like someone. It's just so like it's weird, bro. It's weird because you'll see people in shock and people who don't care about it like in the same cart.
the problem too is that these people they create like a lot of these like drug addicts or homeless people, things like that. They cause a lot of discomfort even to just everybody that's on the train. It's like every corner of the train there's going to be some homeless guy stinking up the train, sleeping in the corner with random verbal outbursts, and it's like ain't nobody trying to sit next to that. As soon as you have to sit anywhere near that, you sit down with the thought of like, this dude better not start with me. Like, you're already like defensive about it, and it sucks because it's like you have these people that you grow this animosity towards this group of people that are making you uncomfortable every time you get on the train. So it's like your desire to want to help these people is very low. So I'm sure it's popular for people to want the government to do something about homelessness, but I'd imagine that most of the proposals people are going to be not that interested in because they're going to have these views, like Mateo said, more kind of conservative views. It's like, if you could panhandle all day, walk all over the city, know the city up and down better than almost anybody, you should be capable of getting a job and getting yourself out of your situation.
And it's insensitive of me to say that because I've seen such smart homeless people, bro, but they're clearly mentally ill and they can't function in society. And what happens when you can't function in society? You fall by the wayside, and now you're just in some gray area. You're not making money so like you're just being pushed around, and it's fucking terrible, bro.
My first time ever going to New York, I talked to every single homeless person that initiated a conversation with me on the street. I was traveling like one block per 20 minutes or something like that.
That sounds horrible. I would not have wanted to be around that sounds terrible.
Yeah, I would
It
have.
was,
Go.
it
I
was
do
the
think-
slowest
was that
progress
the-
in the road. Every 10 minutes, I was stopping to talk to someone new.
I do think though, going back to the topic, that guy should definitely go to jail. I don't think
There definitely
He is-
should be consequences for someone's death. Absolutely.
I don't think just because every day you deal with a homeless person and they're ranting and raving and asking for money, I don't think it's anyone's right to try to either get in a physical altercation, let alone I don't want to touch a homeless person. I don't know what type of, if they got some type of STD or something, or they got a knife on. I don't want to get any physical altercation with any homeless person.
I mean, that's fair.
So-
That could have turned real bad for that dude if that dude had a knife on him or something, right?
Or just spits on him or whatever, that bites him, whatever the heck it could be. It's just like you might have been having a bad day or something, and that just ticks you off to the point where now you're just gonna kill this guy. And then for the other two assholes holding that man down, the fuck were y'all doing? Like what?
Or the whole train watching.
Even
guy
this person
get-
recording, doing the recording, like, yo, why weren't you just saying like, yo, get off of him? Like, he's already passed out. Like, what the hell are you
I
doing?
can't believe somebody didn't go up and threaten the guy that was choking him.
Same,
Facts.
honestly.
Because I would have walked up and been like, bro, let him go. I'm going to start stomping your head in.
Facts.
like,
Like that shit is.
I would have started stomping that guy out. Like, that's just crazy. Like, to just watch somebody literally.
Continue to
Honestly, watching that, I just felt like, all right, this looks like how George Floyd died. Like that.
No,
like
it was
what I
twice
thinking.
as long than the guy put his knee on George Floyd's neck.
I had to watch it without sound. I couldn't. I don't know. It was a very disturbing video. I did not enjoy watching it.
Yeah.
no, yeah, that to
Yeah.
me.
Like I liked when it felt like it kind of got glossed over, but I really like the way Mateo put it. Is that like had that same altercation happened and the Marine whipped out a gun and shot the guy in the head, no one would be debating whether it was justified or not. People would have been like, throwing trash at someone doesn't equate with taking somebody's life.
Yeah.
I acknowledge what you're saying though, where of course it's about how much force you're using is ultimately what it comes down to. If I have an altercation with someone in the train and I throw a punch and that one punch ends up killing somebody, first off, people have gone to jail for this.
Yeah, and you're
But-
responsible for that. Absolutely.
But to me, it's a lesser thing. It's a one moment, instant thing that there isn't necessarily a reasonable like expectation that I'm gonna punch this guy one time and they're gonna die. Like that's just not really like a thought a lot of people think of. I think choking somebody, especially after they go limp, is very clear that like you're literally choking the life out of them.
Mhm.
Like I don't.
Yeah.
And that's why I was trying to be clear on what Doughboy was saying, because it just sounded like he was, but we deal with this every day in New York. It's a constant begging. It's a constant this. And they're constantly doing this and screaming and yelling. And
There's
I'm just like,
I think
that
you-
doesn't
you
matter.
have to take that into account.
No.
That how
Yeah,
bad
I
it's
think-
getting.
I just think that the way that you're saying it makes it sound like you're excusing the guy who does. It's the thing. It's just a way that you talk where you like say an opinion and then you say a lot of other words that make it sound like you don't agree with that opinion. And I already understand how this goes, but like the way that when you say that, it makes it sound like you're excusing the actions of this person because of this like larger issue. My perspective is that on an individual basis, no one should be choking anybody out. And if anybody chokes anybody out, they should face repercussions. Additionally, we should be going to the city and talking to these officials and pointing out to them, do you see that you not addressing these problems are creating these other problems? Right? To me, those are two separate conversations. I'm not going to say because the city isn't doing anything about it, then it makes sense that it's happening. And then it's like, can we even blame them? Like, that's the next question. It's like the implied question in what you're saying.